Well, welcome to this Vintage Farmhouse Antiques presentation where we are just going to show you the slight variation and difference in these two what you may consider identical teacup saucers, but these are both the same pattern but made by different factories, and this is quite a common thing to look out for in terms of factories being brought out by one another or taking over pattern books from factories and continuing the production, but the moulds and the patterns changing slightly. So this one, Royal Albert, Belinda, Paragon, post 1966 when Paragon was taken over by Royal Albert. Now the one on the right is the older, manufactured by Paragon bone china with the full Belinda factory marks on this. So first glance, things to note on the difference. Slightly different moulding on the base marks and on the base rims. If I just turn these over, we can maybe contrast the depth of colour in those. The older Paragon, far deeper transfer colour. The Royal Albert later one, more pastel-y, slightly more washed out and less clearly defined. There is also a difference in diameter on these saucers. It's very subtle, but there is about 1/4 of an inch difference in the diameter. And just look at the difference in height. The older Paragon one is a good 1/8 of an inch taller with a much more curved saucer rim as opposed to the Royal Albert, which is a different mould. So just subtle differences, but if you've got one and you're thinking you're buying an identical one but from a different era, these will be a little bit confusing for you and slightly irritating, the difference in that. Also picking up here the difference in the ribbing on the later Royal Albert one, far more marked. Just look at that in comparison to the early Belinda. It's still there, but much less obvious in the design. So just things to be aware of and to watch out for when you're buying Belinda matching China for replacements, that you do also take note of the sizes as put in the descriptions, but also the China marks and the factory that has produced these, because the Royal Albert will still be useful. The saucer well is identical to the later or earlier pieces, but the pattern and the look of the thing is quite different, although very similar.